So my name is Jeonghoon. I'm a finance lawyer at Bracewell LLP. Today I'm going to talk about using your NFTs as collateral in secure financing. So it's basically about using NFTs to borrow or lend more money and using it as collateral. So that's very small, but I'm gonna walk you through with it. My template didn't look like it, but in finance world we have regulations, new regulations coming out, and it's UCC Article 12. We originally had UCC Article 9. We are amending that law, and now states are moving forward with it. Basically, it's very small game, but it's new regulation for NFT, allowing lenders and borrowers to use it as collateral. And it uses the concept of controllable electronic records, which is called CER. And what it basically means is it's a record in electronic medium that can be subjected to control. So you can use that concept to create security interest and perfect it by control. If you're in a state that doesn't have UCC Article 12 yet, and you can use traditional UCC Article 9, and you'll use concept of general intangible and perfect it by filing. So state legislation status, so North Dakota and New Mexico are the first couple states that have enacted UCC Article 12 as state laws. And 23 states, as of this morning, have already introduced legislative bills. So that is the state legislative status. What you need to take away is that states are moving forward with this law, so it's time to be ready for transactions using NFT. Oh, so we're back to sort of the normal font size here. So the question that I think you should be asking is, when borrowing or lending money using NFT as collateral, what should you care about? And I'm going to answer that question with a list of questions that you should be asking in these kind of transactions. And I think it will help you if you're a borrower it will help you borrow money using NFT without affecting ownership of NFT. If you're a lender, you'd want to do some due diligence to make sure you are evaluating NFTs correctly. So this will help you in that transaction. So the first question that you should be asking, again, it's a little bit small there, but what does the owner of an NFT really possess? So it's a question that both lenders and borrowers should be asking. I think many of you probably know that when you buy NFT, say related to digital art, you don't necessarily acquiring that digital art. Rather, you're getting ownership certificate and the metadata that is associated with that token. So what that means is you might not have all the ownership that an art owner might have in non-blockchain world. Another question that you should be asking is kind of small, really small, so I'm gonna read it out loud, is what does smart contract that governs your NFT say? So NFTs are minted or created through smart contracts, and if you're on Ethereum blockchain, most people use ERC 721, which is a contract standard to create NFT. And it's very important to understand what that smart contract says about the scope of ownership. And depending on what kind of assets you're dealing with, you might be interested in copyright or trademark and so on. Now, those are some great starting points for you. But if you're working with a lawyer or other experts, you probably want to ask some more questions and dig deeper. From the legal perspective, the important question is, how should security interests over NFT be created and perfected? As we already sort of discussed, you can perfect, when you use concept of CER, you can perfect by control. But before you do that, you do need to create security interest. And you can do that by entering into security agreements. And if courts down the road accept some protocols, you might even be able to enter into that transaction via protocol. And the next question that your lawyer or your experts helping you should be asking is, what kind of diligence is required to determine the scope of ownership that the owner has. And notice this is very similar to some of the questions that we began with, but it is particularly important question for lenders, because you do need to really understand the scope of ownership the borrower has. And I didn't put it on the slide, but another part of the question that you should be asking is how to value your NFT. And we are already seeing a more sophisticated business plan or projections that are coming to play. So borrowers prepare that, share with lenders, and lenders are really checking to make sure they're only lending money equivalent of the valuation of NFTs. In conclusion, with new regulations and more NFTs in the market, we'll see more NFTs being used as collateral in secure financing. So it is really time to be more familiar with regulations or find a lawyer that can help you if you're thinking about this kind of transaction. And the goal here is to create a win-win situation for both lender and borrower. But it is important, as we discussed, for both lenders and borrowers to ask certain questions and do put their efforts to do due diligence so that we can really create a win-win situation for everyone involved. And when we get to that point, it will be a win-win situation because for borrower, you will be able to use your NFT to borrow more money with which you can expand your business or projects. Or if you're a lender, you will be asking the right questions so that you only lend money that is equivalent of the valuation of NFT. Oh, back to normal font size here. So if you ever find yourself entering into this kind of secure transaction, please feel free to reach out to me and ask questions. And also, if you have questions about anything that I discussed today right now, I'll be happy to take any questions. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I understand, like, obviously, crypto custody is pretty big right now. It's becoming bigger. As far as NFT custody or being collateralized, how big is that now? I'm assuming it's not big, but how do you even tell, or what data sources could you use to determine that?
That's a great question. And I haven't seen any NFTs being used as collateral in my practice yet. Doesn't mean that it's not being used. But I think many people are actually waiting for the new regulation to be passed because that covers digital assets more broadly. What the definition that we have under current regulation, which is called UCC, doesn't really covers digital asset. It just says a general intangible. And so the rules are not entirely clear. So I'm sure there are some transaction that involves NFT. I haven't seen one myself yet. And to the question about how do you check the data on how many are used, I don't have answer to that question, and I'll be happy to look into it and see if there's any data source available. Yeah. Any other question? Thank you. Okay, well, thanks for your attention. I look forward to getting to know you if we have chance later on. Thank you.